Hey there guys, a little bit of a thank you video this time in honour of reaching 100 subscribers. Barry might recognise this box. I got a few light bulbs. The only problem being I didn't have a ES lamp holder, so that explains the bit of wire hanging off the bottom of it. And I've even got a couple of these, but I'm going to leave them for later. So let's get arcing. Before I do that, I'll move a couple of things from these mops. Clip. That goes up there. Well, would you believe it or not? Would you believe that? The filament is still in one piece. With the might of the mots. And it remains lighting. I've cracked the envelope though. I have one Mirabella light bulb that seems to be made of tougher stuff than the average one. $10 kV. And it's actually managing to hold it quite well. And meanwhile I've melted a hole in the glass. I don't know what it is, but this one just refuses to die. Well, as always, unplug for safety. Now, God below to that for a hole in the glass. I think that's quite well done. Let's have another go. They're all exactly the same type of lamp. That one went. A little arc in the bulb. A fairly stable little arc, that one. If I could just manage to keep the bulb straight. twin arcs. I'm not keeping a very stable arc outside the light bulb because of the air conditioner and the fan running at the moment. So it does make it a little bit hard to keep the arc in a stable position. There we go. Oh, I think that one's pretty well dead. That's ended its life. Let's have another crack at this one. See if after cooling it down it finally decides to let go. No. No let go. Now, well, I think that one might end up on an honour roll at one of these days. Honour roll is the unpoppable light bulb. And here we seem to have another one. Just tease it. Melt my way through some glass. Well, there's definitely no vacuum in this bulb. Or gas. Well, there's gas in there now. Well, that's the end of that one's torture. I've got one left. What is it with these bulbs? Any normal halogen bulb would let go by now. I tell you one thing, this is surprising me. For these bulbs to actually handle this sort of punishment, which is quite a bit unusual for Shittabella light bulbs. I.e. the ones you find in Woolworths and Big W and the likes. It used to be a time when a different term for shit used to be called Chevron from Kmart. But, well, I got to say, these things have outperformed themselves in this sort of test. Well, I think that'll do that. My plug's getting a little bit warm. And I've got a few little projects on the boil. One of which is going to need that. if you look at how fine that tip is compared to that one. Where are we? I'll make it even easier. That's a 2mm conical tip, and that there is a 0.5. Can't really see much of the actual right to the tip of that one. Plus I have another little few things. I've got a tube of solder paste which is in the fridge. That's in order to keep it going. A little bit of thermal tape for my big LEDs. I got myself hold of one of these. Bloody flux pen. No good self-respecting bloody person working on SNDs goes without solder paste and one of them, as I found out the hard way. But it's also this. And believe it or not, yes, I'm leaning on it, and yes, you can't see, but I hooked it up to the 12-volt battery, because the little idea is that capacitors like these fellas will end up on a little blast rack in there. And just to give you a little idea, I'm going to put some lighting on the subject. Put some light in there, and see us for a minute. I think by now you'd get my drift. It's going to be a nice little setup. Got a fan underneath just here, so it blows out through these grills here, and another one just there. That's the as you can see, goes out to the battery. And the other one, there is going to be another cord on this thing, because I need to dig up a transformer, probably from in amongst that lot. Ooh, hang on, there's a little friend of ours. Now, I'll believe he can come out to play another day, only next time round. But all that shit under there, there's bound to be a transformer in there somewhere. But that's just a little introduction to the blast chamber. Well, as always guys, do make sure you play safe. Thanks for watching. And stay tuned for more, and there will be more. Oh, just before we go, now it's a case of what does the average Joe do when he can't find screws to attach a fan to a microwave? give up. I think Larry knows what's coming up. Out comes the hot snot. Now, that's a great way of doing it, guys. Well, please make sure you rate, subscribe if you already haven't, and always like seeing your comments. And if you haven't run into me on Google Plus or the Geek Group, well, there's no time like the present. Except not today, I've got to upload this. Anyhow guys, thanks again for watching.